This is the American Arson Podcast, where our goal is to spark creativity. Whether you're a musician, an artist, a writer, or an entrepreneur, we're here to provide you with tools, tips, and insight from professionals and creatives that you can use to inform and inspire your own journey. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the American Arson Podcast. We've got a great guest for you today. We have Joe Calderon from the band Lightworker.
Yeah, we got a chance to sit down with Joe, talk about what it was like for them and us to release our full-length debut albums on our respective record labels during a global pandemic when we can't tour.
Yeah, so we shared a little bit of common ground there, and then we were able to get onto some lighter topics too, some pretty funny tour stories and why you shouldn't eat too much pizza right before you go on stage. So without further ado, here is Joe. Joe, what's up? How you doing today?
Good. How you guys doing?
Doing all right, hanging in there.
Doing okay.
Just
think about how the rest of us on the earth are doing right about now in 2020.
yeah, just wading through this endless pandemic that we've talked about before. We kind of joked about in the first few episodes. We were like, yeah, it looks like we're getting to the end of this thing, and then it's just every episode here we are talking about it again. So
nope.
Yeah, nowhere near it.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah, no, I mean, it's one of those things where it's just kind of like, you know what, it's going to be what it is until it isn't.
Yeah.
You know, at least that's the way I look at it, you know? And so, I mean, just take each day at a time,
right.
You know? So.
Well, you can probably, similarly to us, attest to kind of the strangeness of releasing an album, a debut album on a label, let alone in the midst of not being able to support that album how a band normally would. Like, you know, I can remember when we kind of, this whole thing hit, we kind of hit up Jason and at Face Down, and we're like, what do we do? Do you want us to release this when we can't do anything? Like,
yeah.
I mean, and it ended up working out for us and for you guys too. A lot of, you know, new eyeballs on it online. But what was that like for you guys? Were you kind of like juggling the, you know, the do we do it or not kind of idea, or was it there ever any hesitation?
I don't think there was. I mean, I think we definitely questioned it.
Yeah, without
a doubt. You know, but I also do think that, you know, we have a great team over at Salt State, and you know, we just put our trust in them, and you know, we just decided to release it, and you know, we celebrated via Zoom.
That's awesome.
And and everything, and you know, it's definitely, it's funny, you work so hard to get to a certain place, you know, and then all of a sudden it's just gone.
Yeah.
And but you know, like we just make do, and I'm sure you guys are doing the same as well, you know, in terms of like just kind of, I mean, because the thing is that you guys have gotten some great feedback too. Like, you guys have been like, I mean,
well,
you know,
thank you, man.
Oh yeah, of course. Because I mean, I keep an eye out. Obviously, I'm a big, you know, Face Down Records fan.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, you know, I keep an eye out on all those bands because I care about each one of the bands, you know. As a matter of fact, I actually have your guys' LP right here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for supporting it, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, and so yeah, I have it right here. I was like, oh, I'm gonna do show and tell. So, but
there you go. If you're listening just on the audio version, check out YouTube, and you can see the goods for yourself.
Yep. So, and I see the test pressing behind you, Jesse. So,
I think you're the first person who's realized that Jesse had the test pressing behind him. He's had it behind him for like, I don't know, 5 or 6 episodes, maybe every episode. And I think you're the first person who realized that. That's cool.
Oh, I'm a huge like record nerd. Like, I have nearly 1,000 records.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
yeah, that's right. You and You and a couple of the guys in the Face Down family group are always going at it about your collections.
Yeah, exactly. So like I've been collecting for quite a while, and it's a passion of mine. I see it as a way of supporting the artist, but it's also like a part of the experience.
Yeah.
You're able to read the lyrics while you're listening to the record, and you're forced to sit down, even in the pandemic. Like, yeah, we don't have much to do, but you like, instead of like pacing back and forth, you can put on a record, sit down with the lyrics and actually read it, and try to, kind of connect with what the artist is saying. And I think it's almost an artful way for the artist and the fan or the listener to kind of shake hands in a sense.
Yeah, because you can't skip tracks.
Exactly.
And you like you said, you're listening to the album in a sense in the way that the artist intended it to be listened to, in the order that the artist intended it to be listened to. And I think in a culture, where everything seems to be about the single, that's really cool. But like you said about connecting, we kind of are reevaluating that whole process now too.
Right.
Because touring's kind of off the table. And two of the things that I've noticed have really helped bands connect has been the live streams, and then also music video, which is a way to get to see a band perform. Obviously, it's a stylized and cleaned up version of the performance, but I just have to say, you guys released a music video just a couple of days ago, and it is incredible. Really like it.
Thank you.
Good.
Was that? Now, did you guys use a lot of green screen, or were you in front of LED screens, or how did that work out?
That was a huge 3-paneled LED screen.
Oh, awesome!
Dang.
And that was the video was directed by Ori McGinnis, who and part of his team actually includes a dude named Michael who plays in a band called Forevermore that's also on Solid State. Okay. And then another guy named Dana who sings for a band called King the Giants.
Oh yeah. So, yeah, I know them.
Yeah, they're sick. So like and I've known Dana for a while, so like when we went to like shoot and I took off my mask, he was just like, "Oh, dude, I know you." I'm like, "What's up?" So it was like a pleasant surprise. That's among like this weird time. It was like a really nice, pleasant surprise.
Did you shoot in your local area in California?
No, that whole thing was quite a daunting task. We had to drive. So we're located in the Bay Area, like Northern California. So what we did was we drove down there. We left first thing in the morning and got there, immediately set up, and then just started shooting.
Are they down like in the LA area or like southern part of California then?
Yeah. Sorry, I guess I didn't say that. Yeah, so yeah.
People in California just assume we all know where everything's shot.
Just down there. That's like us saying that's like us saying in Michigan, like, "Oh, I just went up north for the weekend." Yeah, what do you mean you went up north? You went like to the city Canada? Above you? Like, yeah, Canada?
Yeah, like, what's up? Yeah, you're like, dude, you went to Mexico to shoot the video?
You went down there,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, we went down to Orange County.
Cool.
And shot it down there. And so we did that. We drove, like I said, we left really early in the morning, shot all day, and then drove back the same night. Wow. We left, I think, at like 10:30, and got. None of us really got any sleep for like 24 hours. It was quite an experience.
And then everyone had to work the next day.
Probably. Well, no, because we're in the middle of the pandemic. But in a normal band story, that would be the conclusion. How many times did you guys play the song that day?
Oh,
that's the best part, isn't it?
I would say, I think we each did at least, I would say, anywhere between 10 to 15 like takes. Yeah. And then me and the guitarist Grayson, since we do like the vocals, there's like the part with the cracked mirror.
Yeah.
And so like that kind of goes in and out. And so like he and I had to like do that. So we had an additional X amount of takes. But to be honest with you, it was a really good experience.
Awesome.
It was awesome. It was really fun. The crew that worked at the facility was awesome. I mean, it was funny. Like we listened to that song like 5 million times that night or that day. And the crew, even at the end, was still like every time, like just, yeah, you know, just
That's
like,
awesome.
That's awesome. Because I was going to say, I feel like there's sometimes like that we finish shooting a video and I'm like, I think to myself in the moment, I'm like, man, we need to just start picking songs that we do not like to shoot videos for, because by the end of a shoot, I just don't want to ever play that song ever again. I'm like, the second I hear Evan start playing the intro at the next show or something, I'm just like, oh, God, dang it.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, but that's cool. It was a great experience. Was that your guys' first time working with like a full crew on a video and stuff like that, or?
We've did kind of like a DIY music video. Well, we did a few DIY music videos actually. There was only one time where we had like some help with a crew, like it was like a 2-person crew, and that was cool. But this was like the first time where it was just like all we have to do is, you know, just play the song.
Yeah.
You know, and that was cool.
Just be a performer. Just do your thing. Now,
exactly.
Are you the type of vocalist who sings it full out every time through, or are you the type of vocalist who mouths it along to the?
Or are you just not going to give that away? You don't have to give that away.
Maybe it's the punk rock in me, but I need to be able to at least be like singing something. So I might not be doing like the full bore,
right?
But like I'll be at the very least like,
fair, yeah.
Especially during the screaming parts.
Oh yeah,
because like during the screaming parts, because I mean like
faking those faces and expressions, like
yeah, exactly.
Like, but nothing's coming out of your mouth.
The only thing that makes me like, I hate strawberries, so like the only way I could make that face is if like I remember eating a strawberry. I'm like, oh.
Next time we see you guys play live, I'm just gonna bring a whole like container of strawberries.
Yeah, just to get an angry performance out of you. We just like really want to get them fired up.
That's a tour prank.
Call me a strawberry.
If anybody's listening to this and they want to pull a tour prank on Lightworker, just riddle the stage with strawberries right before their set.
Yeah, if touring was actually a thing, that'd be super funny. Maybe someday.
Well, here's the thing. Like when this thing is, you know, all said and done, like, I mean, I think it goes without saying that we're going to be sharing the road. Together.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I hope so.
I look forward to that. You know, I look forward to just playing shows and getting into some you know, maybe PG-13 mischief, you know.
Absolutely.
If you heard one of the last episodes of our podcast, Evan and his brother have a hookup in a local town where apparently the thing to do is go pee in air conditioners on roofs.
Yeah. So if you're ever on tour and you have a hankering to make an elementary school smell really bad, because the joke would probably be on you, because those kids probably aren't even in school right now. They're probably all at home. So I guess maybe we can jump fences and pee in people's air conditioners. But again, as my brother said, it wasn't us. It was the locals. Arrest your own people. Probably the statute of limitations has passed on that, but please don't arrest us.
We kind of alluded to it a little bit, but first of all, congratulations on the Solid State signing.
Thank you.
And tell us a little bit, like, was that something that had been brewing for a long time? Had you guys been in contact with Solid State and or other labels, or was that kind of out of nowhere and they just reached out and you already had the album plan, kind of a thing?
Yeah, our story's kind of cool, I think. Especially this day and age, I feel like one thing I'll say about our band is that we really thrive on making relationships and being friends with people and getting to know people, and not just, you know, just so you can, you know, like say, oh, I know that dude, you know what I mean, or I know that person or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like like all of us in the band are good friends. We're always like we talk to each other. I talk to them more than like my own family, to be honest. I mean, I kind of have to. You know, I think that's kind of what happened was we knew we were going to start writing, and I've known the Phineas guys for a long time. And they're at the time he was their new guitar player, Daniel, and now he's a seasoned veteran. And you know, he was like the only guy. I mean, we knew each other, but we were like more acquaintances, you know, just because you know, at shows things are always busy and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so, but this was like the first time where I was actually able to sit down and talk to him. And I said, hey, I've seen that you posted about, you know, producing and working on records, and we were wondering if you'd be down. And he was all like, okay. And it was kind of like, it was like tentative. And then it grew to the point where actually at a Facedown Fest that year, we solidified it.
Was that
2017?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. It was 2017. We solidified that, hey, this is what we want to do, you know. And so as we started recording, it was a combination of him coming up here and to our area, and us going down to Southern California where he resides. He decided to kind of give a little sneak preview of a track to our A&R rep, Adam Scatula. And and apparently Adam told him like, yo, keep me posted.
Oh, cool.
And,
nice.
And so we were just like, all right, like, you know, we were just kind of like, oh, okay. You know, like it was just one of those things where we're just like, we still got a long way to go. Like we have,
but you knew you were on the radar.
Yeah.
I think, now that I think about it, I don't think that was ever something that was really at the forefront of our minds while we were recording, because
you were just focusing on making the album.
Yeah, like it was a really fun process, but it was also a long and difficult process for many different reasons. Lightworker's been through a lot, you know, since its inception. And you know, we've had guys that, you know, joined and then they decide. I mean, it's like any other band, right? And then you have like people leave. I think that we had our original guitar player leave, and he and I were the main writers. So that was nerve-wracking at first, because we didn't know, like, I didn't know if like Grayson and I would, you know, mesh well together writing and whatnot, and just so many variables and so many questions that we had, and but it worked out. And you know, and we just, as time went along, we just got to know more people through Daniel and whatnot, and before we knew it, we were offered a contract and took a look, and we signed, and
you said no.
Yeah, we said
give us
no.
More. Give us 10 times. Nah.
Yeah,
we want a 10 album deal.
Exactly. No, I think I'm trying to think, because that was 20. And this actually goes towards what you were kind of commenting on the Facedown group earlier, Jesse.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that in a second, if you're cool with it. But like, but it took us a couple of years to write this record, and because we, you know, we're very meticulous about it, and we wanted to make sure that everything was just made sense. And we wrote the record for 2 years, but then we got offered the contract in 2019.
Okay.
And then you know, we signed, and then everything started, you know, like moving forward, and then COVID hit, and hey,
yeah,
everything's all good.
Now, was the album done when you got offered the deal, or were you just?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. yeah, we actually, it's funny, like, yeah, we wanted to show them it because it was, we spent our own dime doing it.
Yeah.
So we did everything. We were literally waiting for the masters. I think it was like 1 or 2 days, and then that's when they began to hit us up.
Awesome.
Awesome.
And we wanted to, like, kind of, you know, have a nice little bow and everything, and, you know, hand it in.
Yeah.
But they were just like, no, we, you know, like, well, look, you know, if you guys are game, let's do this. And I was just like, yeah, no, to be honest with you, it was a pretty emotional thing. It was funny, like, the night that we signed the contract, you know, we all celebrated with a little whiskey in hand, and
there you go.
Yeah, and we
not on Zoom, right? Because this is when you're allowed to actually see people and go to places.
Yeah, this was in October 2019. Right. So, you know, I remember, like, you know, like, we all hugged each other and we're just like, dude, I can't. This is insane.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, it was cool. Like, just the vibe was super cool.
That's awesome.
Especially with, like, I know you being kind of a huge fan of the scene, whether it be through Face Down or some of those solid state bands, it must have been cool knowing, like, you know, having grown up or, like, spent the last, you know, couple decades listening to, I mean, obviously bands on Face Down, but, like, I'm sure many of the solid state and Tooth and Nail bands over the years and stuff, like, thinking like, man, now we're going to be on this label that so many of the bands that, like, I've followed or we've followed over the years, like, have been on, or you know, some of my favorite albums came off of that label and such.
Exactly. And I've kind of said this before, but it was almost as if, like, you know, they kind of let us into the club, you know? And for whatever reason, we were just kind of like, oh, us? Okay. like, and so we you know, we were just stoked. And I think that's the thing that I mean, it's funny, like, the director of our music video was just like, you guys are so happy, like, just stoked, like, and we're just like, dude, I mean, like, this is so new to us, you know? We're just like, you know, we're just like, he was all like, you could tell you guys are, like, a younger band, but you guys are also very
genuine.
Yeah, well,
genuinely happy, I guess.
Yeah, like, we were just like, you know, because we were just, like, joking around with the crew and everything like that. And, you know, I mean, it was just, we're just really stoked, you know, just like, because we're all, I mean, it's a given that, you know, any musician loves music, but I mean, like, we're music nerds, like, it's bad, dude. I need to get help.
Well, you're active. You're active.
No, you need to feed it.
Yeah,
you need to feed it more.
But you're active in the labeled, you know, podcast group, and you're active in the Face Down family appreciation group and stuff. And it's, you know, even before I heard the news, it was very obvious that, you know, you just love supporting the scene, and you love to push forward and amplify, you know, other bands. And I remember hearing also that you kind of grew up in a similar Tooth and Nail solid state era as me, listening to bands like Further Seems Forever and MXPX and those kind of bands. And so I think it's really cool when somebody who's given so much and devoted so much to amplifying, you know, that scene is sort of has the door opened to them. The only thing I feel bad about is I wish you could, you know, fully step through that door right now into the and be able to tour with all these bands and share the stage with all of them. Though I did see you guys have had some pretty rad shows over the years when bands roll through California. It seems like you've played with a lot of really cool bands, but yeah, hopefully.
Any favorites? Any most memorable ones? I know it may be hard to pick one, but
probably the most memorable, and it's actually kind of tragic as to why it was we opened for the Ghost Inside. And this is It was literally about a week before they got into that big bus crash. So yeah, we opened for them, and they were so nice, super nice guys, and their drummer is super tall. But yeah, they were awesome. And then actually, I think I hit Evan up about playing a show right before Facetown Fest too.
Yeah, I think we weren't going to be able to get out there in time. We were in like Colorado the night before or something, and we weren't going to be able to get out there in time. That would have been really cool.
Yeah, I'm always, that's why I'm always looking to like, especially, like face down bands. I feel like bands our size, the only way to get, through is to team up together and just be homies,
Absolutely.
and, like there's literally been times where, I see opportunities and I tell bands, like, yo, do this, because it's going to be so good for you. And, so our final show before this COVID thing, and it was funny because it was supposed to kind of kickstart this record cycle in a way.
Yeah.
Was because we played a new song for the first time. It was Empire, actually, the one that we did a video for.
Oh, yeah.
And then, and we played with Deathbreaker, Comrades, and Dens. And it was so much fun. It was like an old school, like, floor show. Awesome. And it's funny because the actual, like, the actual venue, I'd been there before because I saw like bands like Me Without You and Pianos Become the Teeth there.
Oh, cool.
And 18 Visions, and yeah, so like, but it's funny because the room we played in was the merch room for those bigger bands. So
that's awesome.
And so, and so the big stage is like, oh man, it's awesome. I mean, it's like 800 cap.
Oh wow.
And so, but this room is like literally just I mean, it's just a room. When you hear the word room, you're like, all right, maybe you can cram, like maybe like 50 people in there. Yeah. And it was just super old school. And seeing those bands.
Man, I miss that. Being able to just pack a few dozen people into one small space and climb on top of each other.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. And that would have, I mean, that was just the best. And we were like, after we played the show, we were on such a, like high, we were on such a, we were all so happy. I remember our drummer lives in San Diego, so he lives quite a bit farther than the rest of us, but that was his first show actually with us.
Wow.
And
that would have been a killer experience to welcome him aboard.
Yeah. And he that was his first show. And then like, his name is Ryan. Ryan's kind of like a man of few words, but when he said something, like it people listen. And like, we're all standing outside and I was like, hey dude, did you have fun? He was like, yo dude, that was sick. And we're just like, yeah dude, like that's awesome. And then, literally about a week later, we started a week and a half later, we had Shelter in Place. And I mean, and here's the thing, like, not to be, divisive or whatever, but like, I've lost some people to COVID. So like, to me, I'm just kind of like, I know it's a sensitive subject, but I think that's part of the reason why I have the mentality that I do, where it's just kind of like, you know what, we're just going to get through it when we get through it. And
we're going to have to wait it out. And
yeah, until then, we're just going to have to, keep our heads up high. And, honestly, music is, even without the touring, stuff like that, has still kept me busy, whether it's, like the Face Down group, which I was extremely active, especially during the first like 2 months.
Where we literally didn't have anything to do.
Yeah, exactly. I was, because I almost felt like kind of a responsibility to kind of like post content for people, because I knew people were looking for distractions. And so I started posting a bunch of pictures of my own vinyl collection. And
I remember
like,
that.
And because like, and then I was like, oh, I can take this a step further. I can just have people vote on which one they want to see first, because I have so many. And
that was really cool.
Yeah, it was awesome, because I was just like, I just wanted people to forget. I wanted them to have some sort of semblance of normal, you know? And, you know, I don't know if it worked. But I did my best. And, you know, that's, and, you know, music has been there for me too. Like, for whatever reason, an album that really has helped me recently is the new album by Misery Signals. I'm not sure if you guys are into them, but like, I personally, I love it. And, you know, they're usually a pretty like darker band, you know, and this album was a bit different. And some of the songs just have been extremely uplifting to me. And it's not even coming from like a particular, I guess, religious or, you know, sect or anything like that. It's just hopeful, you know, in general. But like the way I interpret it, it just, I don't know. It's been a very positive thing for me. And then I think also what was rad was getting your guys' vinyl and Deathbreaker in the mail, because it was one of those things where I was just like, dude, you know, like, indie labels are taking a hit right now, you know? And so for me, like when I got the record, I was like, sick, like awesome. Like, and I think that's one of the things that has been really rad for me to see, is that even though you know, this COVID thing has happened, and a lot of terrible things have happened, but a lot of people, especially within the Facedown community, have really stepped up and like supported you guys and supported the other Facedown bands. And,
it meant even more, like you said, like when we got the word the other day that the vinyl sold out, I was just kind of like, holy crap. Like we went from thinking like, I'm sure a lot of bands have released music during this time of like, all right, like here it goes, like it's probably not going to do much, like we'll get a few streams that first, we can't sell copies of vinyl. Like one of the big things behind us deciding to do a vinyl release was we had all kinds of like massive festivals lined up for the summer and stuff, and all these big appearances, and we were like, we're going to be able to sell these like hotcakes at the shows. And then I personally, I know Evan could probably echo this, and I'm sure you could too, like I was kind of nervous after that of like, this stuff is just gonna sit.
Like, no, especially for us as younger bands, you know, like where it's just like interaction is a must, you know, to be able to, you know, get music and merch into people's hands and have like good communication with listeners and just make new friends, new homies, you know.
Was that the reason behind putting out the video now, or was that something that was planned pre-COVID? Because I noticed it was obviously for the lead single Empire, but you held it off, you know, several months and then just released it recently.
So the reason why that was held back was because of COVID. Like we were actually in the plans of, like, we were originally going to fly out to Georgia to do the music video out there with the director out there. Okay. But when COVID happened, because we were supposed to do that, I think like in April, that way, and you know, hopefully have like a music video, boom, you know, for June, you know, or like the announcement or something like that. And it just crumbled, and it just got to the point where, you know, we all got on the phone as a band and with our manager, and we're just kind of like, dudes, I mean, you only get to do your debut album once. Yeah. We all kind of measured each other's like comfort level and whatnot. And I kind of came up with the idea of like, let's find a director in LA. I mean, it's LA, you know, like
I heard there's a few of them.
Everybody's a director. Exactly. So
just walk down the street, ask every other you see, and one of them's bound to be a director.
Yeah. Exactly. And so, and then, you know, and then we got really lucky with Ori, and, you know, I'm not going to lie. Like I'm definitely the most cautious out of all of us, like the four of us. Like I would say me and Grayson are.
You mean like COVID cautious or?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Just cause like, we also like he has parents that are a bit older. And then, my mom is a recovering cancer patient. And so it's just kind of like, yo, like anything I do also affects my family, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like we all had to be very we have to be very calculated, especially back then, because there was a lot of unknowns.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we know more now, we know more as time goes forward, but like but you know, that's why but we decided, okay, this is the plan, and then break. And you know, and we hit up the label and we're like, hey, if we're able to find a director that's willing, would you guys be you know, down to, you know, like for us to do this? And you know, like they were like, yeah, dude, like let's do it. So it was to be honest with you, I think that's one of the most positive things that have happened in 2020.
Yeah.
Was that music video shoot, because of the fact that for a while, just for a moment in time, however fleeting, I completely forgot that there was any of this pandemic stuff happening.
Yeah. And I think people,
and that's powerful.
I think even though it's not the same as playing live, I think people do appreciate just having an opportunity to visualize, you know, the band that they're supporting doing what they love to do. And the video has been received very well, it seems, so far, and almost kind of, I think, reignited interest in the single and in the album as a whole, because you're presenting it in a different way. And so I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I think that was, you know, like, just to go on record here, you know, like, we're not a Christian band. I am a Christian personally.
Mm-hmm.
But like God is the man, you know, like he figures it out, and he's just like, you know, or he has it figured out, you know, he's just like, yeah, this is gonna happen, but don't worry, I'm gonna sprinkle some of this goodness right over here, and then like I'm gonna sprinkle some of this goodness on your timeline, you know.
Yeah.
And he's, you know, he's God's a trip, and I'm just, you know, I'm super thankful, like, for everything, you know, that we've been afforded, you know. And I almost find it like, that's why I take the lyrics that we write very seriously. And I was reading it through your guys' lyrics also, and I was just like, dude, these are legit. Because I'm very much a lyric person. So that's what, you know, like, I find like there's an immense responsibility to like write meaningful lyrics, and they might not necessarily be the most positive, but they're going to be, I'm going to give you the truth as to what's in my heart and my mind. And I feel like you guys did that with the lyrics as well, because there's some of the lyrics that I've read, it's funny, like, I could almost see that as a conversation between believers, where you guys, yes, you guys are both believers, but you guys are maybe on the opposite side of the fence.
Okay.
And and I think that to me, that's extremely important. I think, because that's another kind of fellowship that I think that, you know, folks have a hard time, especially particularly within, you know, the Christian world. Folks have a hard time recognizing sometimes that your theology might look different than theirs, you know. And
or that a band might have, you know, Christian members but play a mainstream festival, or like, you know, or whatever, like, that, or be, you know, fellowship with, have friends or be in fellowship with people that maybe aren't of that same standing, you know.
Exactly. And that's the thing, is that like I mean, you know, for me, I mean, you know, I don't want to speak for the rest of the guys in my band, but like, well, they've said it was cool that I've said this. So like, you know, but the rest of them aren't Christians, you know. And but you know what? They're some of the greatest guys I've ever met in my life. I consider Grayson in particular like my brother, you know. Like, that dude has had my back and has done more for me than, you know, that's not blood related, than anybody on this planet, you know.
That's
and
awesome.
Yeah, and you know, I think but you know, that's why I really enjoy your guys' record, because I feel like, although the Holy Spirit is obviously in there, I feel like you're definitely speaking to a certain group of folks that definitely need to hear that message. And I'm really pumped on that. And I just wanted to, just kind of
thank you.
Thanks, man.
throw that over to you.
Well,
Yeah,
since we're on the topic, you have discussed. I've listened to a few different discussions that you've had, the lyrical themes on your album, but in particular, I think a song that's really relevant right now, and I don't know if this went into choosing it as a single or not, but Empire, and just talking about what it's like to sort of exist in this digital age. Can you talk about that a little bit, and what kind of motivated you to write that?
Yeah, I think it's, in many ways, it's easier than ever to be a human being, but in many ways it's also very difficult, because we have these new technologies that are extremely, like computers have only been around for a handful of years, like it's a very new technology in the grand scheme of things, and it's something that, and then all of a sudden now we have, phones, and then after that it was just like, oh, now you can have music on your phone. Now you can, browse social media. Now I'm on a freaking Zoom call with you guys, like on a phone, and I think that we can get really lost in and then these companies, what they do is they, like you go on YouTube just to watch, like a music video or something like that. You might want to watch, like an American Arson music video, and then all of a sudden you get.
You wouldn't want to do that.
You might. He said you might want to.
Yeah. You might want to, and then you kind of just like you're minding your own business, and then all of a sudden you get an ad that is just like not relevant to you at all, telling you that you got to be this, you got to be that, and whatnot, and. Empire, the reason why it's spelled that way is because it's basically just kind of burning the status quo to the ground. Empire with the PY. R-E.
Like a funeral pyre.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's really cool. I never caught that before. That's cool.
Yeah, and just because although, again, like technology is great, I don't know how I would be dealing with this pandemic if it weren't for technology. Like I wouldn't be able to have this conversation with you guys.
Yeah.
I would have, like look at the Face Down family group. But at the same time, you've got folks who are consistently flashing their lifestyles, with money and stuff like that, or, like promoting things that are just not either not attainable or they just disgusting, but it's also and now we'll get into kind of what was commenting on in the Face Down group today, where it also makes people feel entitled, and I think and that's why, to wrap up the portion about Empire, that's why it says, I left my soul to this world where they bled it dry of desire, because that's what happens. You can get so depressed and just lose any desire to actually do any kind of good. You become obsessed with becoming something that you weren't even sure that you wanted to be in the first place. But it also, like you said, with the negative comments and whatnot, like, or like entitlement, where people are so used to having everything right now, Amazon Prime right now. I want food right now, DoorDash right now, like, just like it.
Though I do love getting my Chipotle delivered to the door.
Yeah. No, for sure.
No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I agree, like it's cool, but like then people are just kind of like, I said extra walk, and like, and then just losing it over like a burrito.
Guac is very serious though.
Yeah,
especially if you're gonna charge me for it.
Yeah.
I don't mess around with Chipotle anymore, man. Just go to Qdoba, get all the queso you want, get all the guac you want. I'm not paying you extra money for queso and guac. I'm going to Qdoba.
Yeah, no.
If there's any conspiracy to get upset over right now, it's the extra charge for guac at Chipotle.
Yeah, dude, and it's been going on for a long time.
It doesn't go away. I don't know how they haven't been caught yet.
I know. But yeah, like, bringing it back to, like people like with artists, especially when it's us, like, who play our instruments and whatnot, and people are just like, well, I want that record, and it's just kind of like, dude, I want to make it for you too, but like,
yeah.
I want to make sure that it doesn't suck.
Yeah. Yes, that, and like I think people, I mean, kind of alluding to what you were saying, we're talking about someone had kind of implied that a band had taken too long to get an album out, and me and Joe had kind of agreed in the comments about it. But like I think people forget too, as artists, like we, like especially I guess artists at our level, we all have like families or full-time jobs outside of music, some of us multiple jobs outside of music, and
Yep.
so we're not sitting down and saying, all right, let's make this album, and then taking every single day, all night for the next 2 months to write and record an album.
Exactly.
We're saying, okay, I work, for those of us with, maybe a typical 9 to 5, like, okay, I work 9 to 5, I have, family or dinner time or whatever for a couple hours. Then I got, a couple hours to squeeze in some writing before it hits midnight, and I got a few hours to sleep and get up and do it over again. Like, or maybe some time on the weekend. Like, people, I think, don't realize how much life happens for bands at that mid-level kind of, and it is interesting to see it. And it was cool, actually, the way the guy that had made that original comment kind of came around and was like, actually, yeah, like, that's a good point. I never thought of it that way. And I was like, no one got angry at each other and called each other an idiot, or
Yeah.
Screamed profanities at each other over Facebook comments. But like, it is interesting, that sense of entitlement that maybe the digital age has given us.
Yeah, definitely. And it's one of those things also where it's just, sometimes as an artist, sometimes you get tapped out too, between regular life and then, having to, deal with whatever comes your way. In this case, it's like the pandemic. Like, I mean, that already takes a lot of emotional energy, and personally, I just can't turn on my creativeness. I can't just be
Right.
like, oh, I'm going to write a song today. I wish it was that easy. And I wish it was that easy, and also like that simple, and to write it with meaning, like, and that's the thing. I don't ever want to phone it in, like at that point, then you're not doing music for the right reason, in my opinion.
Well, I think we could all come up with, if someone told us you have to come up with 10 songs in the next month, like, we could all probably write 10 songs in the next month. But would they be songs that, one, were the best possible product that we could put out, or two, were meaningful enough to us that every time we got on stage and played them or heard them played back to us, that we would feel like proud of that
Right.
Release, or connected to it? Like, could churn out a million top 40 hits, like, that are just about the most general topic ever. But
I personally could not churn out a million or even one top 40 hits.
Don't lie, because
I've never churned out a
I've
single
heard your-
top 40 hit, so I personally
he's
couldn't
lying.
do that.
He's lying, because I've heard his scratch lyrics about pizza and different, food and drink topics. So we could absolutely,
none of which were top 40 hits, by the way.
We get, because they haven't been released. I'm telling you, we got a career in writing commercial songs for Little Caesars and Domino's over here.
Jingles. Yeah, American jingle. No, that's yeah, no, I hear you. And it's one of those things also where I know, especially for our guitarist Grayson, when we finished writing the record and recording it, he was like, the only time I'm ever going to pick up the guitar now is to practice the songs that we have written. And because I am spent creatively.
Yeah.
Like, I've given my all. And I mean, you know how absurd it would be, like, to, demand that, I guess movie directors to do the same thing. Like, like, write and record, write a screenplay and direct this movie and, do one a year. Like, nah, like, you need to be able to decompress. I mean, there's a reason why, like Quentin Tarantino, I think he says he's going to retire after his 10th film. It's like, because it's the process, and it's not as daunting and as, like, challenging as making a movie, but it's still like anything creative. It is, I mean, and that's the thing that kind of like
emotionally, physically, and mentally draining.
Yeah. So one of the biggest challenges was, I got sick when we were tracking vocals, and when I get sick, it basically cuts off like the top 15% of my vocal range.
Yeah.
And if I keep doing it, it just thrashes my voice even more. And so like it cuts off another 5%, another 5%. And I had to power through it. And what's kind of cool, this is a little factoid, there's a couple of notes in there. If you listen carefully, you can hear my voice. It's kind of gravelly or kind of like almost distorted, but it kind of, I mean, it was terrible for me, but they made the recording sound cool.
Yeah, no,
So,
now you guys used a separate producer specifically for vocals, correct?
Yeah, we worked with Bo Burchell.
Seosin, right?
Yeah, he's in Seosin, the guitarist in Seosin, and he's also done a lot of great records too. We got really lucky with the team that we worked with. All the instruments were produced by Daniel Gailey from Phineas / Fit for a King, and then Bo Burchell from Seosin produced the vocals and mixed.
Nice.
And did you guys make that decision going in, and you knew that was the plan, or was there a reason that you decided to do it that way? Or
so one of the things that we wanted to make sure of was that we had somebody who understood the dynamics of like vocals and whatnot. And when we showed our manager like what we were doing and some of the vocals and stuff like that, he's all, dude, this stuff is like almost there. But I think if you guys worked with a guy that, specialized in vocals, it would just take you to that next level, whether it's like making sure that you're getting the right harmonies or just getting the right performance out of you to like make that song that much better. That would be a really good investment, and that's something you guys should consider. And he recommended Bo, and it was probably the best thing that we could have done. He because it was cool, because when he heard my range, he was like, oh, okay. So like he was like, okay, so can you hit this note? Like he would just ask me, can you hit this note? And he would like falsetto it, and he's like, but can you do it in your regular voice? And I was like, bro, okay, let's try.
I got you.
Yeah. And then just like, no, more like, I hope so. You know what I
mean?
Right. And then I would hit it, and he was all like, see, I knew you could do it. He's all right, let's do that. I'm like, okay. And then we would just do it on the fly.
I was going to say, having been in Seosin, he's worked with a couple vocalists that have had some pretty ridiculous range.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what his baseline is.
No, exactly. Like I think that was one of the challenges, because the first night we got our drive down there, I looked over at Grayson and I was like, dude, I hate to tell you this, I'm getting sick. I can just feel it. And then he was just like, are you sure you're not just tired or something? I'm like, dude, I know myself, I'm getting sick. And he was just like, okay, well, here, why don't I drive and you try to rest? And, like everybody tried to take care of me, you know, like Bo took us to the grocery store. We started to make like this, I guess, vocalist elixir, you know, natural. And to be honest with you, it helped a lot. It helped a lot. And
is that a secret patented recipe, or is that in the vault? You're not allowed to share that?
Oh, I mean, I'll share it with you. I need to get the recipe again because it's been a minute, but I'll share it.
It's not just like Cheez-Its and gummy bears and almond milk, right?
It's all dairy, cold dairy.
Just a gallon of chocolate milk.
Yep.
Yes. No, but he, you know, and it was brutal because he, you know, the first day we had a really good day. The first song we tracked on vocals was actually Empire.
Oh, cool.
And he was just like, and the vibe was awesome. But when I left the studio, my throat felt so raw, and only because of the cold.
Yeah.
That I was, and then like the next day I came in and I was able to do it, but it was noticeable that like that range went, dude.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, you know, when you're playing an RPG and your HP level's going down, like because you're poisoned or something like that. That's what happened to me. So, and
that's how we're gonna compare the rest of our recording sessions. It's just each day is a new boss, and you just
that's
how
perfect.
How long can you last?
How long can you last?
Exactly. No, and then you know, so we actually called it in the middle of the vocal tracking session, and we rescheduled it for about a month later.
Mm-hmm.
And I came back, and you know, we were able to do it, but towards the end there too, I started to get sick again.
Oh man.
And you know, luckily we got all the main stuff that we needed out of the way, but you know, like, so some of the screams and stuff like were done in Grayson's old place in his bedroom, and we sent it out to him, and he was able to, you know, make that work. But and that's I think one of the most valuable things that we learned through this recording process is, like, you know, the best practice is to kind of, you know, get a couple of songs recorded musically under your belt, and then do some vocals, and then you can go back to recording more of the instruments. That way your voice can rest.
Okay.
And everybody's different, you know. Everybody, like, I know dudes who, like, they don't warm up at all, and they might, you know, like, have a bunch of beer before they go on stage, and you know, they play the best set in their life. And then there's me, where, like, if I have a beer or something like that, I am dry like the rest of the night. I you probably know what I'm talking about, Evan. Like, you know, you don't have that kind of moisture that you need.
Yeah.
You know, and
that doesn't happen to me after a beer, but I do know what you're talking about.
yeah, exactly. But you see,
I'm the guy who doesn't warm up. I'm the guy who drinks a beer before I go on the stage. It's not.
No, I mean, see, and that's awesome. See, I wish I was like that, Evan. Like, I wish I, you know, like, you know, could just show up and just be like, what's up? You know, like, let's do this, you know. But it forces me to be healthier too. So, yeah. Which is good. Like, drink more water, drink, you know, and whatnot. So, but like, yeah, if I even have like just a couple of sips of beer, like, you know, and I'm not even really a beer drinker, but like once in a while, especially if you're at a show, you know, like you know, some people want to buy you a beer or something like that, and you're just kind of like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, I'll have a beer. But like, you know, if I just have like a couple of sips before a set, like, yeah, it's like not good, you know, like, especially for the screams. Like, it's just like, oh man. But like, are either of you guys beer drinkers?
Yeah, I love craft beers, IPAs in particular. So, but nice. It's not like we're throwing them back before we play or anything like that.
we typically wait until after. I'm like that. Not even just with beer, but with food. Like, I can't eat much before a show, or I am gonna be in deep trouble on stage.
So I've got a funny story for you. So like with me and Grayson's old band, we were doing like this mini West Coast tour, and we stopped in Portland, and everybody kind of just broke off into like every band just like had like a dude that, you know, they just kind of hung out with, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And Grayson and I, like, he was the only one who could tolerate my snoring, so we just did everything together. So like, you know, we would share, like if we were crashing somebody's place or like got a hotel room, or like, you know, we had to sleep next to each other in a vehicle, like, you know, he was the one because he's just like a log. So you know, and with food, he was just like, oh dude, yeah, I want pizza or something like that, and I'll be like, let's go. So and that's my thing. It's like, I want to try pizza from everywhere.
That sounds like tour.
Yeah, you honestly sounds like you're the third member of American Arson right now. You want to try pizza from everywhere.
There's a legitimate chance that the entire 4 to 12 hour drive, whatever it is, between shows will be spent with every person that's not driving on their phones looking up places to eat in the next town.
Exactly. So, dude, see, this is why we got to tour together, because I know we're gonna have fun. So,
oh yes.
So then, so I told Grayson, I was like, dude, there's this pizza place right over there. It's like a little hole in the wall. Like, you know, let's go. And so we went, and we got this, like, you know, like he and I, we can eat, you know. So, and then we were just like, all right. They were like, all right, so will that be like a small? And then we're like, make it a large, you know, like, yeah. And so we just start eating, and then we have to play the show. And we go up on stage, and you guys probably got like a glimpse of it in the music video, but we don't necessarily stay still.
Right. Yeah.
We're, you know, playing. And I played bass in this band too, and backing vocals. And we were like headbanging and stuff like that. And I mean, mid headbang, I just felt like, just like totally. And then I just looked at Grayson, and he and I were like a little pale, you know, like just kind of like, and we get off the set, and then the guitar player in that band is like super, like, he's super about clean eating, all that stuff. And he's like, hey, you guys slow down there a little bit, huh? And we're just kind of like, shut up. Like, you know, I was just like, yeah, dude, I threw up in my mouth, dude. And then they were like, well, what did you do? Like, I had to swallow it, dude. What are you gonna do? What am I gonna do?
Honestly, it would have been pretty metal if you guys could have both thrown up at the same. You know how for a long time it was like super cool to like choreograph the dance moves in metalcore. It was like the two guys that the crab coring at the same time. Honestly, I can't think of anything more metal than if you guys just synced up your pukes. Just when the breakdown hits, just
yeah.
And then just kept going like nothing happened.
Absolutely.
Just completely ignored, didn't even acknowledge it.
I'd buy a t-shirt.
Just like dun.
Here's the merch item that I want Lightworker to make now. Just you and Grayson like on the front of the shirt headbanging towards each other, and just
Barf Bros. It just says Barf Bros under.
Barf Bros.
Barf Bros, exactly.
California Barf Bros.
Oh man,
Bay Area Barf Bros. There's your
Bay Area. I'm into it. I'm gonna have to remind him of that story, and he'll laugh. Like that was, you know. And we were a lot younger back then too. Like, you know, we since have like cleaned up quite a bit in terms of our eating, because, you know.
Now if we tour together, I'm just gonna ask him, and also you, like an hour before the show, like, hey, there's this pizza place down the road. you guys want to go to some pizza?
What's what year did Lightworker form?
Oh shoot.
Or how long have you and Grayson been playing together? This is super trivial why I'm asking this, so don't think about it too hard, because this is gonna be really dumb.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Well, our first band was back in the late 2000s, and then this second band, he joined up in 2014.
So there you go. So there's your tagline. The top of the t-shirt is Bay Area Barf Bros, and then at the bottom, since 2014.
Established in 2014, baby.
2014.
I thought you were gonna go in somewhere meaningful with that.
No. Yeah, we already got through the meaningful stuff.
Now we're
into bodily fluids at this point.
Oh man, no. I mean, I have so many stories, man. Like at our first tour, because the thing was that, like, we were just we were stoked, but the thing is that I was very accident prone back then.
Yeah.
So basically what happened was we were at the gas station, and you know how there's like the little divides that have like the trees and like maybe the little stones that you can jump on, you know, like to get across.
Nature in the gas station parking lot. That's
exactly. And so everybody in the band was just like kind of hopping over and like onto the other curb, and I was like, I'm gonna be cool too, so I'm gonna hop over. And I hopped over, and then I stumbled, and I tried to like get my footing. And what I tried to do was I kept falling forward. What I tried to do was kind of, like do a Super Mario and just use my legs to push me up. But the thing was that I was already like on my way down. So I pushed myself this way. So my legs are here. So I was falling down, and then I pushed my legs down like this. And then I went, zoom, and I went sideways straight into a truck tire. And I freaking split like my lip. I still have the scar, and it bled so much. I will never forget. The dudes were laughing so hard, but then when I like turned around, and I had the tire print on my face. They one by one stopped laughing because they were just like, "Oh my gosh, you're bleeding a lot, dude." And it was just a small gash, but like that small gash was just bleeding so much. And
because you launched yourself like a torpedo into a truck tire.
Dude, like all of my body weight,
just the way you described that of like
yeah, like it, dude, I just completely launched myself into it.
If you're not watching this on YouTube, head over for our intense hand motions.
Yeah, no, it was brutal. Like they actually afterwards they were like, dude, we were concerned. Like you could have knocked yourself out. I went into that thing hard. And
did you actually catch the rubber, or did you get like a lug in the tooth or something?
Oh no! Thank God, no. It was just like the back, kind of like I got a little bit of like the actual grooves, in the part. It was just like it was only like the corner. It was like
just checking the tread, just down here checking the tread.
Yeah, exactly.
Stand up all just, casual. A lot of tread left on those tires, man. You're good to go another 5,000 miles.
The dude is just walking out from the gas station back to his truck.
He was like, that was the thing. He was like walking out, and then he sees me like on the ground or like at least getting help up, and he was like, dude, are you okay? And like I think he was with his wife, and I'm like, I'm fine, I'm pissed, like I'm just like I'm fine. And then and then I think Grayson or our drummer at the time, like this is our old band, but the drummer of that band like basically just went to the bathroom and got paper towels, and then they were just like handing it to me, and I was wiping it down, and they were like wiping the blood while I was wiping all the freaking like car like crap like that, from driving around. And I just felt bad, like, because they were just trying to be nice to me, the couple or something, and I was just kind of like, I'm fine. Like wallowing in self-defeat. But anyway, that's my story.
That's incredible.
You remember the time we were in a parking lot at like 2 a.m. in the middle of nowhere in Ohio on our way back home, and we were all running around just kind of like loosening our legs, and cops pulled up just to check and see what we were doing, and there was blood running down my arm, just gushing down my arm. We were in Sinkin's van, and everybody turned around and looked at me, and I was like, what? And we looked at my arm, and it's just covered in blood. I'm in like a white t-shirt, so it's like smeared, and I'm like, I promised like 6 dudes in the middle of nowhere, Ohio, with blood all over their shirts at 2 a.m, just running around in the parking lot lights is not suspicious at all.
Just doing your best Andrew WK impersonation, just soaked in blood and sweat. No, we've asked a lot of people to share tour stories, either on the podcast or just otherwise, and it usually involves some sort of vehicle breakdown or some sort of interaction with like a crazy local. I gotta say that is the first time we've ever heard of somebody propelling themselves headlong into an object. So you definitely get points for uniqueness of your
yeah, dude. it's funny because the way that Grayson and I moved back then, I mean, he still does because he has a guitar in his hand, but like, it was funny because we never like actually like, well, I did hit my guitar player at the time, not him, but the other guitar player in the head real hard during the middle of a solo one time. Oh. That was pretty sick. But like, but otherwise we never hit anybody, which was insane. And now looking back on it, if you watch that live footage, so like, but I did a real good job of just launching myself into that good year. So
that's awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing not only the your sincerity and your heart and but also the hilarious, horrible things that have happened to you as a result of being in a band. It's like my brother who was on before was joking about like, man, nobody's going to want to be in a band after they listen to this podcast. They're like, dude, all you do is you get sick and people criticize you online and you fall into other people's cars.
You eat until you're sick.
Yeah, you eat until you're sick. No, the first time the first story about getting sick wasn't his fault. He was just sick. So, but thank you so much. Please send us that vocalist concoction, that recipe that you got. I want to take a look at that for if we're ever allowed to do shows again. And what are you guys looking forward to once this whole thing wraps up?
Got anything planned?
Yeah, we've got things planned. And then that's pretty much what I can say as of right now.
Okay, no problem.
But we have more content on the way for sure.
Cool.
A lot more content.
Cool. And where can people find you if they're interested in it? Are you guys pretty much everywhere?
Yeah, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Yeah, just hit us up.
Lightworker.
Yeah, it's for I think it's Lightworker Band for our Instagram. If people want to follow me, it's at Joey Deets with DEETS. Feel
super
free
into bug spray, so you guys can follow his account for
straight up. Well, I need it because like after being around like tires all day and whatnot, like flies are just gravitating towards you. Yeah, exactly.
And everybody, please check out the new music video for Empire. It's incredible. It's the closest thing you're going to get to live music anytime soon. So you can do yourself a favor and turn off all the lights, turn it on your TV and pretend like you're at the show.
Amen to that. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks so much, Joe. Have a good one. We'll see you soon.
All righty. See you guys.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the American Arson Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to leave a positive comment or review. Connect with us online through Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or Twitter, and check out AmericanArson.com for music, merch, and upcoming tour dates. We'll be back next week with another episode. Until then, stay inspired, stay positive, and keep creating.